What's up guys, Jay here and welcome back to another video in our Deep Rock Galactic weapon covering series. If you haven't seen this series before, we dive a bit deeper into the weapons the classes have access to and go over their quirks and overclocks to see if it's the weapon to add to your build. We've already covered one primary weapon from 3 of the classes, so now it's time to give attention to the Scout and his weapons, starting with one that looks plain on the surface but boasts a good amount of flexibility, the Deepcore GK2 Assault Rifle. So if you guys are ready, let's talk about the Assault Rifle and the kinds of tricks and overclocks it has access to so you can see if it's the primary weapon to add to your build. By the way, if you like this video and want to see more, subscribe to the channel, that way you never miss another upload.
I can get anywhere, anytime.
The key to using these weapons as effectively as possible is to understand just what kind of primary we are dealing with. The Deepcore GK2 Assault Rifle is the Scout's default primary weapon, meaning you have access to it right from the start. It's a bulky assault rifle built out of dark colored metals and has a very industrial looking design to it. Now the Deepcore is in an interesting position because it doesn't really have any kind of special property or nuanced statistic that governs it. Now this can be both a good and bad thing. It's bad in the sense that it may not be as interesting or powerful at specific things. However, it is very good in the sense that it is universal and flexible in terms of what it could be useful for. Additionally, the weapon has a very good skill floor and skill ceiling, meaning that it doesn't take a lot of wild and crazy strategies or knowledge to use this weapon effectively, and for new players that can be something very important. Simply put, the Deepcore is just a very good standard issue assault rifle that is easy to adjust to if you're coming over from other FPS titles and want something that feels familiar. It doesn't have any kind of locking feature that you need to manage or 3 different rate of fire stats that you have to know. It's just a gun that is dependable and gets the job done. It's a perfect testament of the tried and true method of elimination. Aim, shoot, reload, and shoot some more.
Afraid of the dark? No need, you got me!
Now we're moving over to the overclocks themselves. Since the assault rifle is very plain on the surface, a lot of the flexibility options for the assault rifle come from its overclocks. As of season 4, the assault rifle has 7 overclocks with 3 clean, 2 balanced, and 2 unstable. Next, as always, we'll go through each of them and talk about what they do and how you can use them effectively. So with that, let's start with the clean overclocks, and first on the list is compact ammo. The description reads, stuff a few more of these compact rounds into each magazine and they have a bit less recoil as well. So this one is pretty standard for clean overclocks as it simply gives you more shots in each magazine and better recoil control. To be specific, it adds 5 shots to your magazine capacity and improves your recoil by 30%. This is a considerable amount of recoil control and allows you to be more efficient with your shots since you will not be missing nearly as much. This is a nice safe overclock that you can run for really any situation and is what I like to call a good unconscious choice. Meaning if you ever don't know what setup you want to run and don't want to think about it too hard, this is a nice choice because you can use it without really thinking too much at all. The next clean overclock we have is gas rerouting. This one reads, increases the weapon's rate of fire without affecting performance and helps with magazine ejection as well. This is another simple overclock that improves both your rate of fire and reload speed. Going over the numbers, it gives +1 to the rate of fire stat itself and reduces the reload time by 0.3 seconds. This one is good because it lets you fling bullets out at the bugs much faster with less downtime in between volleys. If you're running this one, make sure that you mod the Deepcore to have plenty of extra ammo because this overclock will burn through a lot of it. So you just want to make sure that you don't need to call a resupply pod every few minutes to restock. Just make sure to maintain your trigger discipline and not go too crazy with letting loose, and you should be just fine. Last overclock we have in the clean category is homebrew powder. The description says, more damage on average, but it's a bit inconsistent. Now this one is hard for me to talk about from experience because I have still yet to get this one. However, based on what it says and from what information I have found, I can at least give some input on how it works. So essentially this overclock causes the damage on your weapon to be a little inconsistent. It rolls every time you shoot and can give you anywhere from 80% to 140% of your normal damage. So if I'm gathering this correctly, each shot can be anywhere from 20% weaker to 40% stronger and it's randomly rolled for each shot. This means that on average you will come out ahead on damage. This one seems like you're taking a bit of a risk, but maybe the extra damage is more than worth it if he rolls high enough. If anybody has this overclock and has a story about crazy high or low rolls, let me know down in the comments. Moving over to the balanced overclocks, first we have overclocked firing mechanism. This one reads very straight and simple. More bullets faster and it kicks like a mule. This one is kinda like a supercharged version of the gas rerouting we just talked about earlier. It gives you an even faster fire rate, but this time at the cost of significantly more intense recoil. To be specific, it gives +3 to the rate of fire stat and increases the recoil by 100%, essentially doubling the amount of recoil this weapon now gives. So this is for when you want to channel your inner Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Predator movie and just spray and pray until you hit something important. If you can mod the weapon to compensate for the extreme recoil, it can be very effective at eliminating targets very fast since you're flinging so many shots at them. Even with that, however, this can be a wily one to use, and if you have a hard time controlling the deep core as it is normally, I wouldn't recommend trying to tame an even more feisty version. Still, it can be very useful if used properly. The next balanced overclock we have is Bullets of Mercy. The description says, deals bonus damage to burning, stun, electrocuted, frozen, or poisoned targets. This overclock is pretty straightforward, but also pretty effective if you use it well. It reduces your magazine size in exchange for increased damage to enemies suffering from elemental effects. To be specific, it reduces your magazine size by 12 shots in order to give you 50% extra damage to afflicted targets. Afflicted targets are anything suffering from burning, stuns, electrocution, freeze, or neurotoxin effects. So this overclock can be very strong if you apply it properly. It can be extremely useful in a team composition involving different elemental effects. Each of the classes have many different ways to apply elemental effects to targets. The gunner could throw an incendiary grenade, the engineer could use his stubby SMG, or heck, the entire driller kit essentially is one big elemental build. Even the scout himself can apply it if need be. Not only do 3 of his 4 grenade options apply an elemental effect, but you can even take the stun mod on the deep core itself in order to increase your chance to stun, which in turn will increase the damage you deal further. So there are a lot of different ways that this overclock can trigger and become more effective. This one is my primary go-to for the deep core. Even though the smaller magazine can be a pain sometimes, the extra damage is very nice and surprisingly easy to trigger. Now it's time to move to the unstable overclocks. First one on the assault rifle is the AI stability engine. The description reads, it's like it knows what you're going to do before you do it, compensating for all recoil and bullet spread. The system requires a lower rate of fire, and the fin stabilized rounds do less direct damage but give a bonus to weak point hits. So this overclock is almost like the polar opposite of the overclocked firing mechanism that we looked at earlier and turned up to the max. Instead of firing insanely fast and being very hard to control, instead you have no recoil or bullet spread at all, and an increase to weak point damage, all at a cost of a lower base damage and a much lower rate of fire. Breaking down the numbers, it gives an instant spread recovery buff and increases weak point damage by 50% and reduces recoil by 100%, essentially nullifying recoil. It also gives -1 to the base damage and -2 to the rate of fire stat. This overclock makes the deep core into a super accurate weak point destroying machine. It's for those of you who want to conserve your shots and use them efficiently to take out those annoying high value targets. This is the overclock that encases one of the primary roles of the scout, that being elite enemy elimination. It lets you quickly take out any enemy that has visible and easy to hit weak points. If you want to be the primary big game hunter for your team, then this is the overclock for you. The last unstable overclock option is electrifying reload. This one reads, embedded capacitors electrocute targets from the inside when you reload. However, all that tech reduces the raw damage of the bullets and takes up some space in the magazines. So this one is very interesting and gives the deep core a very shocking ability at the cost of a lot of ammo. To be specific, it gives the electric reload buff to the weapon while giving it -10 to the magazine size and -60 to the total ammo reserves. So to explain the electric reload a little better, every creature that was damaged by the weapon will get an electrocution status when the weapon is reloaded. They will also receive electric damage for every bullet that damaged it, triggering at the reload as well. So essentially your shots embed microshockers into the target's hit, and when you reload, they all trigger, applying electrocution and damaging the enemy for each shot applied. This can be very useful for crowd control or just general ad control, as well as dealing strong electrical damage to a single target. The only thing I really don't like about this one is the very heavy hit it does to your ammo. You don't have as many shots to take advantage of the electricity, but if you can work around that, you can use this overclock to very effective results.
Yeah, I don't so much scout as make this operation possible.
So with all these overclocks a bit more explained, hopefully you have a better idea of how to use the assault rifle to great effect. The assault rifle, as I stated, is very simple and plain, but that allows you to be very adaptable and flexible with it. You can set up a very strong single target build using the AI stability engine, or go for a more generic build using compact ammo. No matter what way you want to apply the deep core to your build, you can most certainly find a way to bring out its full potential. Well, that covers the deep core assault rifle and the overclocks it has access to and how you can use them to great effect. Now you can decide if the deep core is the right primary weapon to add to your build. If you guys like this and want to see more videos covering the weapon overclocks, let me know down below. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please be sure to give it a like because it tells me what types of videos you guys want to see. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time for another video.